everyone. Welcome to the show. Today is Friday, August 30th, and it's been quite a few weeks since I did my last show. And I don't have a daily countdown for Marc because we don't actually know if he's going to be approved for transfer or when he'd be home. So at any rate, July 9th next year, he's going to be kicked out of the United States. So at this time next year, Marc is going to be here and we're going to be having an awesome party. But if you want to help get Marc home as soon as possible, please go to freemarc.ca, and the contact information for the Public Safety Minister, Stephen Blaney, is right there on the front page. Share it around, make a phone call, send a letter, but be polite. We do just want Marc to get approved to come home, so please do your part by just making a simple phone call. And again, that's all at freemarc.ca. Now, in the time that I've been gone, it's been very, very busy. So I was at Seattle's Hemp Fest, which was fantastic. That was the 16th to the 18th. And of course, it was the first legal hemp fest, which made it kind of relaxed and kind of different because you couldn't get up on the stage and say, vote for legalization, get out there and make a difference. It was kind of like, awesome, you guys, this is fun and great. And, and you know what, that's actually probably Marc calling. I bet you it is. Hold on one second. Hello?
Hey, Mrs. Marc.
Hi, sweetie pie.
So excited about your global thing and receiving teasing. I had to about jump to call you.
Oh, that's fun. I'm excited too. I'm actually on my show, filming my show at this very second. I was just getting into it. My number one of 9 points on my list to do.
I'll say goodbye. Say hello to everyone for me, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay, I love you, sweetie pie.
I love you, bye.
Okay, bye. He's super, super excited because of so much going on, which, as you heard. Okay, we'll get back to it. So Seattle Hemp Fest was awesome. I spoke 5 times. It was really an honor. They treat me so well there. Vivian McPeak, the organizer, the leader, he said, oh, he's such a sweetheart, and I'm sorry to toot my own horn, but he said I'm the best speaker they've ever had at Hemp Fest, and they have hundreds and hundreds over 22 years. So that to me is an honor, and honestly, just to be there with so much love and support and inspiration, and to know that lives are being changed by so many other people and this collective effort, it's just fantastic. I love it. And I also managed to snag myself one of the famous Doritos bags that were being handed out by the Seattle Police Department. They only had a few, and you could tell when the cops were down with it or when they weren't. There were some guys who were smiling and they were joking, but you know, there were some cops who were obviously tired of being asked, hey, do you have a bag of Doritos for me, man? Because the Seattle Police Department was tweeting about it. They were in the news. They were getting involved. They have a hilarious little sticker label on there, but you guys can check that out and read about it online, I'm sure. So that's a good little piece of history in the making. We worked to pass Initiative 502, and we did it. And I'm so honored to have been part of that team and the people who were involved. It was great to see them again. Seattle City Attorney Pete Holmes was all excited to get a photo because, you know, we all worked together to make that happen, and it really has made history. As you all know, marijuana is bigger than ever. There's been so much going on. So recently in Canada, our Vancouver Police Chief, Jim Chu, is the head of the Canadian Police Chiefs Association. You know, he's the top cop of police chiefs. And they made a resolution to pass a ticketing regime for pot possession, which, you know, it could be good or bad. There's a lot of different ways this could go. But it's really interesting to hear what they said. Jim Chu said that arresting people and charging them causes loss of jobs and travel, and it's just really harmful. So they shouldn't be arresting people for possession. They should be ticketing them instead, or maybe still continuing to turn a blind eye as they've been doing. Again, it could go either way. That could be good or bad. We don't really know. It depends on the ticket cost and the enforcement and so many details. Devil is always in the details. But just the fact that they want to stop charging people for pot possession means thousands of Canadians across this country who would be free from a criminal record for pot possession, which, as we all know, does a great deal of harm over the course of one's entire life. So that's a small baby step, but we have to pressure them to make sure it's a good ticketing regime, which means no more charging for pot possession at all. No tickets, really. So come on, please, officer, don't ticket us. Just turn a blind eye all the time because the majority of Canadians want it legal, and you all know it. And in that note, we had our leader of the Canadian Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau, young handsome man who will hopefully be the Prime Minister of Canada, he admitted to smoking marijuana even as recently as being a member of Parliament. But it was a collective shrug from most Canadians, but it was a feeding frenzy for the media. And for the last week straight, I've been doing nonstop phone calls and TV and radio and all sorts of media about Justin Trudeau admitting to smoking pot, the ticketing regime, and Marc, who, of course, was brought into the Trudeau story again for having called Trudeau a hypocrite for voting for mandatory minimum sentences for pot, meanwhile smoking pot himself. So that turned into a big hubbub. Of course, the conservative news network here, Sun News, they were all over it, making Justin Trudeau look terrible. They hate the guy. He's just way too charismatic to go up against Harper. It's kind of like JFK and Nixon. So they're terrified, and they're demonizing Trudeau, but they have to side with Marc Emery because Marc says he smoked with Trudeau, and Trudeau says, no, I didn't. But, you know, we all know Marc is a pretty honest guy. But anyway, some people who are going to be Prime Minister might be nervous about being associated with the Prince of Pots. So it's not really a big deal. The point is Justin Trudeau admits to smoking pot and wants it legal, and his party endorses legalization as part of their policies. So that's fantastic, and it made a ton of news, and I was invited onto Sun News again, my 6th appearance, but this time with the top dog himself, Ezra Levant, who is quite an outrageous character, and I was ready for a fight. I really was. I thought I'd be torn apart. But he was not too bad, and I defended Justin Trudeau and made it clear that Canadians should support him to be Prime Minister and why it's not a big deal. And then following Justin Trudeau's admission, we have all these other politicians admitting to smoking pot too, as a big who cares, you know? The controversial mayor of Toronto, Rob Ford, of many different things he's famous for, pick one, I don't know. But the most recent is that he's hilariously shown laughing when he's asked about smoking pot and saying, yeah, I smoked a lot of it. So that's funny, and you know, I kind of don't want to like the guy, but I gotta like the guy. As Marc says, at least he's determined to really be himself. So Rob Ford admits it, and he's a conservative buddy. He's Harper's fishing buddy. So all sorts of people are admitting to using pot. It's not a big deal. So even Harper had to say, well, maybe ticketing is an option. He was opposed to it when it was announced, but even he has to change sides. So that's brought out a ton of news too. You have all these politicians admitting to smoking pot, and then there was a report about teenagers might get paranoia. We don't have proof, but we think it might cause paranoia and problems for teens. So that brought in a whole bunch of news. So I've done CBC National for that and Global National, and then CBC National was here today again about all these politicians admitting to smoking pot. And then, I'm not kidding, guys, we can't even keep up here at Cannabis Culture, which is the top marijuana news website in the world most of the time, because there's so much news going on. I'm just at home reading the paper, and I hadn't even done any interviews, but I'm in the money section, money and business, in this article about legalization. And this one says, you know, it could be worth a lot. This one's like, oh, people are scared. Not everybody's high on the idea. But you know what? Change is happening, and it's so rapid, and it's just been an exciting time here. I really feel change is coming. And we have a few things going on. I actually have one more bit of exciting news to tell you guys. I'm going to be on Global BC's new 24-hour news channel every Tuesday night, or every other Tuesday night, doing a commentary on different news stories of the day. Not about pot, but just Jodie Emery, a personality of British Columbia, speaking her mind on a show called Unfiltered. It's just a 10-minute segment with me and another person and the host, and we just talk about different news stories of the day, international, local, it doesn't really matter, but just sharing our opinions. So I got confirmation today I'm going to be doing that, and that's pretty wild, and I'm so excited because I can also use it to springboard a lot more stuff like Sensible BC. So Sensible BC, Dana Larson, of course, is wonderful. He's got a billboard. This is kind of old news. This is actually from the 20th of August. But this is a billboard for Sensible BC promoting it because on September 9th, the campaign officially begins to collect all the signatures from every riding in British Columbia. That's a whole lot of signatures. We need 10% of each riding. And what you need to do is, like Dana left me a note here, and I'm going to do this. It says, talk about this and fill it out during your next show, question mark, Dana, because I'm going to register as a canvasser for Sensible BC. And we've been signing people up here at our store and in our lounge to do this, and there have been people all across British Columbia. Dana has been traveling city to city, getting people to sign up to help this effort. Sensible BC will stop police from arresting people for pot possession. it'd be awesome. Of course, the legislature has to approve it, and we would vote on it next year if it passes the threshold of signatures this year. So it's quite an effort, but you can go to sensiblebc.ca, and we've actually got the backing of the marijuana millionaire lottery winner Bob Erb, who's been helping so much with Sensible BC's campaign. So we're getting the word out, and Dana has like 1,300 canvassers ready to go. But you guys need to sign up too if you're in BC, volunteer a few hours, and come down to our store here if you want to get the form. But we need to get signatures from September 9th into November. And that's a big effort, but it's the best we can do here. And with marijuana legal just south of us, and Alaska working on legalization themselves, and Sanjay Gupta talking. I didn't even put that on my list. Dr. Sanjay Gupta, he was going to be the chief doctor of America, and he turned down the job. But this guy said, I've looked into medical marijuana and I was wrong before. I was wrong and I need to undo that. I need to tell you guys the truth. And he made a huge stir about that. So things are shifting. Oh, and I didn't put this on my list either. You guys, it's crazy. The federal government in the United States, Eric Holder, has said that they're going to allow states to continue with their medical marijuana and decrim, I imagine, and legalization legislation. That's pretty phenomenal. Now they do have some points and that you have to meet, and they're going to go after the bad guys, and they're not putting down their guns yet. Let's just put it that way. But they can feel the tide is turning, and that's pretty darn significant. That tells a lot of different states that they can also move ahead, and they have 20 states with medical marijuana. They only need a few more medical marijuana states to make it a majority of the country, and at that point, I don't think marijuana can stay Schedule 1. In fact, I think that somewhere in the U.S. constitutional law or somewhere, it says that when you have the majority of states approve medical marijuana, you can't say it's Schedule 1 anymore. So leave us alone, DEA. But anyway, years to come, when Marc gets back, next year Marc will be back and we'll have an election in Canada, and we're watching the wall of prohibition fall, and it feels great. So, Sensible BC, get out there and support it. And I want to show you guys quickly a beautiful card Marc sent me. It says, can't wait to be home soon to be with my Jodie, and it's a little pull card, so it pulls up like this. It's a beautiful piece of art. Look at that. You guys have seen some of the amazing things over all the years, over 3 years, over 3.5 years, and Marc's done 80% of his sentence. He's so excited. So Marc says he's going to give me my nightly foot rubs, and I love that. That's so exciting because he's crazy about me. So this is just a beautiful card that he wrote for me where he says all that, and that's so sweet. And if Marc and I won't be able to travel to see the world, we can stand in front of San Francisco's bridge in these photos. Hooray! So here I have a ton of photos of us from over the months. I haven't been doing my show, as you guys know, but got a ton of pictures from July and August, I believe. A whole lot of them. And Marc is still playing bass guitar, except he was in a new band because his band fell apart. But now the new band leader, guys, doesn't want to do it anymore. And so, but Marc doesn't really mind because things are winding down for him. He's actually finishing up his sentence, and he'll be transferred hopefully soon. And even the guards all there are saying nice things to him about, how he's shouldn't be there in the first place. And, hey, how do I get to Canada? How do I move to Canada? They're asking him advice about all that. So it's coming up soon. And you guys can please make a phone call or send a letter to Minister Stephen Blaney. He's a tree hugger type guy. He's green. He has some positive qualities, I've heard, and it would really help a lot if you just send a letter. Even though Harper prorogued Parliament, God, we don't have democracy with this guy. This guy is, But we'll have an election soon, and we're going to have a nice leader who wants legalization into office and lead us into a better time ahead in Canada, where we desperately need it environmentally, economically, and in so many different fronts. We need to be saved. But when Marc comes home, we'll cross Canada on tours, we'll speak, we'll encourage people to get involved as always, and that's going to be lots of fun. And this is probably the longest video ever, so I'm going to cut it off. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I will be doing another video next week, and I'm going to Boston, to the Boston Freedom Rally on Saturday, the 15th of September. I will be out there. It's a 2-day event, but you guys can go to masscan.org, that's Massachusetts, CAN, C-A-N. And if you look that up, Massachusetts also has decriminalization. They have a form of ticketing that I hope will be similar to what we get here. So we'll keep fighting for that. Thanks for tuning in. Follow me on twitter.com/Jodie Emery. I'm not on Facebook that much, but follow Marc online too. Send him a letter. Go to Pot TV, Cannabis Culture. You guys know the drill. And I promise I'll be doing more regular shows. It's been summer. I've been busy, but I'll be back on the regular on Thursdays. So see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Free Marc Emery and all the drug war prisoners.